I never thought I would be betrayed by the very people I loved most in this world. But that's exactly what happened. And it didn't happen in my own country, where I could have at least run to my family or found some safety. No, they left me thousands of miles away, in a land where I didn't even speak the language. It all began as what was supposed to be a dream trip. My son, his wife, and I had traveled overseas for what they called a family vacation. They told me it was a chance for me to relax, to finally see the world after years of sacrifice. I was hesitant at first. After all, I'm not young anymore. But their excitement was contagious, and in the end, I thought maybe they were right. Maybe I did deserve to enjoy myself for once. For the first few days, everything seemed fine. We visited crowded markets, ate food I could barely pronounce, and took pictures in front of monuments that looked older than time itself. I smiled in those photos, but deep inside, something always felt off. It was in the way my daughter-in-law whispered to my son when they thought I couldn't hear. It was in the way their smiles at me didn't quite reach their eyes. But I ignored it. I told myself I was just imagining things. Then one morning, it happened. We were on a quiet street far from the city center. My son parked the car near a small cafe, told me to wait inside, and said they'd be back in a little while. They left with smiles, with promises. "Just wait here, Amma," my son said. "We'll be right back, don't worry." I sat by the window, sipping tea, waiting. 10 minutes passed, then 20. An hour. When I finally stepped outside, the car was gone. At first, I thought maybe they had parked somewhere else. Maybe there was a misunderstanding. I walked up and down that street, asking strangers with gestures and broken words if they had seen a black car. But the language barrier was a wall I couldn't climb. People shrugged, some shook their heads, and a few just ignored me. The truth hit me slowly, like a knife twisting deeper with every passing minute. They had left me. My own son, my flesh and blood, had abandoned me in a foreign land. The first night was the worst. I sat outside that cafe until it closed, clutching my small handbag with the little money I had inside. I kept thinking, maybe they'll come back. Maybe this is just a cruel joke. Maybe I did something wrong. But they didn't come back. I was alone. With no phone, no local currency beyond a few bills, and no idea how to get back to my hotel, or even where the hotel was, I spent that night on a bench in the freezing cold. I cried silently, my tears soaking into my scarf. I wasn't just crying for the betrayal. I was crying for every sacrifice I had made, every night I'd stayed awake for my son when he was little, every prayer I had whispered for his happiness. I thought about how I had worked myself to the bone just to make sure he never went hungry. And now, here I was, hungry, cold, and discarded like garbage. Days passed. I begged for food outside small shops, bowing my head in shame each time. Some kind souls gave me bread or fruit. Others turned away. I slept wherever I could, sometimes under a bridge, sometimes in bus shelters, sometimes on church steps. Loneliness gnawed at me more than hunger. I didn't know the language. I couldn't talk to anyone. I felt invisible, like a ghost drifting in a place where nobody cared whether I lived or died. At night, I asked myself the same questions over and over. Why? Why would my own son do this to me? Was I such a burden to him? Was his wife so against me that she convinced him to throw me away? The questions had no answers. But then, something happened that I could never have predicted. It was about a week later. I was sitting on the cold pavement near a train station, clutching my shawl tightly around me, when a man approached. He looked middle-aged, with tired eyes but a gentle face. He spoke in English, broken but understandable. "Are you okay?" he asked. For the first time since being abandoned, someone had spoken words I could understand. My tears came before I could even answer. I told him everything, how my son had left me, how I had no way home, how I didn't even know where I was most of the time. The man listened quietly. Then he said something I'll never forget. "You are not garbage. You are someone's mother. No one deserves this." His name was Yusuf. He was an immigrant himself, working long hours in a small bakery. He didn't have much, but he offered me food and a place to stay, just a small room above the bakery. It wasn't warm, not really, but it was safer than the streets. For the first time in days, I slept without fear. Weeks turned into months. With Yusuf's help, I slowly began to rebuild. I started helping him in the bakery, sweeping floors, washing dishes, even learning a few words in the local language. The customers began to recognize me, not as a beggar, but as part of the bakery. One day, Yusuf said, "You have a light in you. Don't let them take it away." Those words stuck with me. I began to feel stronger, not because my pain had gone away, but because I realized I wasn't as powerless as I thought. My son had thrown me away, but life had given me another chance through the kindness of a stranger. But just when I thought my story would quietly fade into a simple life of survival, something happened that changed everything again. One morning, as I was arranging bread in the bakery window, Yusuf came rushing in with a newspaper in his hand. "Look," he said, pointing to the front page. I froze. There, in bold letters and photographs, was my own face. The headline told the story. "Elderly woman abandoned by family in foreign country, found alive after weeks on the streets." Apparently, a passerby had taken a photo of me when I was begging outside the station weeks ago. That photo had spread online, drawing outrage. Local authorities had begun investigating, and the media had picked up the story. My betrayal was now public knowledge, and then came the twist I never saw coming. A week later, I received a call. It was from the embassy. They had tracked me down through the bakery. They wanted me to know my son and his wife were facing legal trouble. The country had issued warrants for child abandonment and elder neglect. My son, the boy I had raised with my own hands. At first, I didn't know how to feel. Anger, satisfaction, sorrow, all of it swirled inside me like a storm. But when I finally sat down with the embassy officers, I told them something that shocked even me. "I don't want revenge," I said softly. "I just want peace." Because the truth was, no punishment for my son could erase what had happened. Nothing could undo the nights I spent on the streets, the tears I cried, the hunger I endured. Nothing could bring back the trust that had been shattered. But I could choose not to let hatred eat me alive. Now, as I share this story with you, I sit in the little bakery that has become my home. I work here every day, surrounded by the smell of bread and the laughter of customers who treat me like family. I don't know if I will ever return to my homeland. I don't know if I will ever forgive my son fully. But I do know this. Life gave me a second chance when I thought everything was over. Sometimes the family you are born into betrays you. And sometimes strangers become the family you never knew you needed. So if you ever feel abandoned, broken, or worthless, remember this. Even in the darkest places, kindness can find you. Even when you are left to die, you can choose to live. And that choice, that decision to rise again, is what makes you truly free.